Well, hello from the Giant's Causeway on the north coast of Northern Ireland, where we have some incredible breaking news for you today. Well, this is exciting. Earlier today, we're being told tourists and National Trust rangers saw the legendary fin disappear into a magical doorway within the rock face here at the Giant's Causeway.
For more than 60 years, geologists studied the cliffs of Northern Ireland's Giant's Causeway, believing they understood every inch of it. Tens of thousands of perfectly shaped basalt columns formed by volcanic activity millions of years ago. Solid rock, completely sealed, nothing hidden inside. That was the accepted truth, until one ordinary drone flight captured something nobody has ever been able to explain. The footage begins normally enough. Gray Atlantic water crashing below black volcanic stone, wind sweeping across the coastline. Then suddenly, part of the cliff moves. Not crumbling, not collapsing, moving with intention. A massive slab of basalt, estimated to weigh nearly 20 tons, slowly pushes outward from the cliff face, like a perfectly engineered door. Behind it is complete darkness. No reflection, no visible depth, just an opening where solid stone should be. And then, something appears inside. The doorway remains open for exactly 11 seconds before sealing shut again, so perfectly that the cliff looks untouched. No crack, no hinge, no visible mechanism. Just solid volcanic rock once again. But the people who saw the footage couldn't stop replaying those 11 seconds, because frame by frame, shadows seemed to move inside the chamber. Shapes, tall ones, standing motionless in the darkness behind the opening. At first, most people assumed it was fake.
The Giant's Causeway has always existed somewhere between science and mythology. Tourists visit the northern coast of Ireland expecting to hear two explanations for the strange rock formations stretching into the sea. Scientists say they were formed by volcanic lava, cooling roughly 60 million years ago. Local legends tell a different story. According to Irish folklore, a giant named Finn McCool built the stone pathway as a bridge to Scotland. Most people treat that story as harmless mythology, a fun piece of cultural history attached to a beautiful landscape. But everything changes when mythology starts colliding with physical evidence. Because the Giant's Causeway is not some unexplored wilderness hidden from modern technology. It has been surveyed repeatedly for decades using radar imaging, geological mapping, seismic analysis, and underground scans. Researchers believed they understood exactly what existed beneath those cliffs. Solid basalt, dense volcanic rock. No chambers, no tunnels, no hollow spaces anywhere inside. That certainty disappeared the moment Kieran Doyle uploaded his drone footage. Within hours, experts across Ireland began privately contacting each other, asking the same uncomfortable question. If the footage was real, how could an enormous hollow chamber exist inside a cliff that had already been scanned countless times? And if
Kieran Doyle wasn't looking for mysteries when he drove north from Dublin that evening. He was 34 years old, worked as an electrician, and spent most weekends filming coastal landscapes for social media. Giant's Causeway wasn't new to him. He had flown drones there before. The cliffs made perfect aerial footage, especially at sunset, when the Atlantic reflected light across the basalt columns. To him, this was just another routine recording session. The weather conditions that evening were unusually calm. Clear skies, low wind, perfect visibility across the coastline. Doyle launched his drone, expecting to capture wide panoramic shots before driving home later that night. Nothing about the trip felt unusual until he reviewed the footage. At first, he thought the drone camera had glitched. Midway through the recording, one section of cliff appeared to move outward. Not naturally either. It didn't resemble a landslide or erosion. The movement looked controlled, almost mechanical. Doyle replayed the clip several times, trying to find a simple explanation. But every time he watched it, the same thing happened. The slab shifted open. Darkness appeared behind it. Then the rock sealed shut again with impossible precision. What bothered him most wasn't the door itself. It was the movement inside. Doyle later told a friend that after the 5th or 6th replay, he noticed shapes.
Dr. Sarah Brennan had spent over 15 years studying volcanic rock formations across Northern Ireland. She wasn't the kind of scientist who chased internet conspiracy theories. Colleagues described her as skeptical to the point of annoyance. When someone first sent her Doyle's footage, she almost ignored it completely. But later that night, she watched the clip herself, then watched it again and again. Something about the movement bothered her. Natural rock doesn't behave that way. Basalt fractures, it collapses, it erodes under pressure, but it does not open outward smoothly like a hinged structure. Brennan reportedly contacted Doyle directly and told him there were only 2 possibilities. Either the video was fake, or something existed inside that cliff that geology could not explain. The next morning, she drove to Giant's Causeway, carrying ground-penetrating radar equipment used to detect underground voids and structural anomalies. She expected to disprove the footage quickly. Instead, the moment the scan finished, witnesses said she stopped speaking entirely. The radar revealed a hollow chamber hidden deep inside the basalt cliff. 12 feet deep, 26 feet wide, completely enclosed within solid volcanic rock that previous surveys had always identified as structurally dense. That alone should have been impossible. But the chamber itself wasn't what caused Brennan to...
The arrival of Dr. Ian Gallagher changed the investigation completely. Gallagher specialized in advanced subsurface imaging and had decades of experience mapping underground structures across Europe. People trusted him because he rarely reacted emotionally to data. But witnesses at the site noticed something unusual almost immediately after he began scanning the chamber. His hands started shaking. Using higher resolution imaging equipment, Gallagher focused on the 7 figures detected inside the cliff. Everyone expected the scan to confirm they were simply oddly shaped rock formations. Instead, the new imaging revealed something far stranger. The figures were hollow. Not solid stone, not dense mineral deposits, hollow outer shells with empty interiors, almost like enormous cocoons standing upright in the darkness. Thin exterior casings surrounding open space inside each figure. Gallagher reportedly checked the readings repeatedly because the structure made no geological sense whatsoever. The shell material itself created another problem. It appeared resistant to temperatures that should have destroyed anything organic instantly. Basalt forms from lava exceeding 2,000 degrees Fahrenheit. No biological material survives that environment. Most synthetic materials wouldn't either. Yet whatever formed those shells had remained intact for me.
Within 48 hours, the atmosphere surrounding Giant's Causeway shifted completely. Government agencies arrived quietly. Researchers received closed-door phone calls. Access to parts of the coastline became restricted almost overnight. Publicly, officials dismissed the drone footage as an optical illusion caused by lighting conditions and wet basalt reflecting sunlight. According to the official explanation, there was no chamber, no hidden structures, and no unusual findings anywhere inside the cliffs. Privately, the people involved knew that explanation was false. Dr. Brennan was asked to sign a report supporting the official statement. According to colleagues, she read the document carefully, pushed it back across the table, and refused to sign her name anywhere on it. Later that night,
She resigned from her university position entirely. What frightened people wasn't just the discovery itself. It was how quickly institutions wanted the entire situation buried. Brennan spent weeks compiling the radar scans, sonar images, positional readings, and thermal data into a formal scientific paper. She submitted everything to Ireland's Geological Review Board, expecting debate, criticism, maybe demands for additional testing. Instead, the paper was rejected almost immediately. Off the record, one colleague warned her the decision had nothing to do with scientific accuracy. The real fear was larger. If the public learned that human-like biological signatures existed inside rock formations 60 million years old, it would force scientists to reconsider every accepted timeline surrounding intelligent life on Earth. Evolution.
Dr. Brennan returned to the site, hoping the second scan would disprove the first results. She wanted the original readings to be some kind of technical malfunction, human error, equipment distortion, anything explainable. But the moment the updated scan loaded onto the screen, she reportedly grabbed the equipment case to steady herself. There were now only 6 figures inside the chamber. The 7th had disappeared completely. At first, researchers assumed the stone door must have reopened somehow, but motion-sensitive cameras installed near the cliff recorded absolutely nothing during the 4 days between scans. No vibration, no movement, no visible opening in the basalt wall. The stone entrance remained perfectly sealed the entire time. Yet somehow, one of the figures was simply gone. No debris remained inside the chamber. No broken shell fragments, no tunnel leading away from the room. No evidence that anything forced its way through the rock. It was as if the figure had vanished directly through solid basalt without disturbing a single grain of stone around it. That was the moment fear replaced curiosity among several researchers involved. Because up until then, there was still hope the figures represented some unknown geological phenomenon. But movement changed everything. Movement implied intent. It implied activity. It implied that whatever existed inside that cliff was not dead, fossilized, or frozen in time. Something had left, and nobody had any idea where it went. Some researchers privately speculated the figure might still be somewhere beneath the coastline, moving through underground caverns hidden below the Atlantic seabed. Others refused to discuss possibilities at all. But every person who saw the updated scans understood the same terrifying reality. If one entity had already found a way out of the chamber without opening the door, the others might eventually do the same. Then,
Dr. Niamh Callahan specialized in thermal imaging analysis and geothermal surveys. She expected to find underground heat sources near the cliff, maybe trapped volcanic activity or hidden water channels beneath the basalt. Instead, when she aimed thermal equipment toward the chamber location, the monitor filled instantly with red and orange heat signatures. The 6 remaining figures were warm. Not slightly warmer than the surrounding rock, not geothermal anomalies. Their internal temperatures measured almost exactly 99 degrees Fahrenheit. Human body temperature. Callahan recalibrated the equipment multiple times because the readings violated basic thermodynamics. The surrounding cliff remained freezing cold under Atlantic weather conditions. Heat naturally dissipates through stone. Nothing buried inside basalt should remain warm for millions of years. Yet every scan returned the same result. The figures were radiating consistent internal heat. Then, vibration sensors detected something even worse. A repeating rhythmic pulse inside the chamber. One pulse every 4 seconds. Slow, consistent, coordinated. Researchers described it cautiously at first, but eventually one admitted the pattern resembled a heartbeat almost perfectly.